Thank you for welcoming us into your headphones. I am Chema.
I'm Niki.
And I'm Eddie, reviewing Soul. And this is a
This
rollback.
is a rollback.
We didn't time it that well that time. I forgot we were trying to do that. It's a new thing.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Hopefully it stays. Eddie, we had an ongoing joke when we started Film Buffs Anonymous on the first few episodes. You kept talking about this girl on every couple episodes. And for a while I was like, she's not real. And turns out she very much is real. And she's joining us here today.
Hello.
Hi, Niki. What's up?
Oh, I guess that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe that? It wasn't someone else.
Making sort of her debut. She was on like a questionnaire part of the come play, but that's about it.
Well, I've been a long-time subscriber too, so.
The original subscriber.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome, Niki. I'm glad to have your voice here. Always welcome. And also, I know that if you're here, Ed is gonna behave. So that's always
Fuck you. If anything, I'll turn it up.
Oh, really?
I got something to prove now.
You try to be defiant.
I will edit around this. You know that, right?
Okay, so and if you stop hearing my voice after this, it's because I've been cut. So Pixar, Disney Pixar has released a new film. Pete Docter, who I truly believe is the greatest Pixar director ever. Sorry, Brad Bird. He comes in. Look at the man's history. He did Up. He did Monsters Inc. He did Inside Out, and now he did Soul, a pseudo spiritual sequel to Inside Out. Carries a lot of the same values, a lot of the same ideas, but points them into a new direction. We follow the story of Joe Gardner, who's a middle school teacher with a love for jazz music. After a successful gig at the Half Note Club, he suddenly gets into an accident that separates his soul from his body and is transported into the U Seminar, a center in which souls develop and gain passions before being transported as a newborn child. Joe must enlist help from the other souls in training, like 22, a soul who has spent eons in the U Seminar in order to get back to Earth. So this dropped into everyone's Disney Plus accounts right in December 25th on Christmas night. And if you're like me, you watched it together with your family while being locked up at home. I assume a lot of people did the same thing. I'll be very, very direct. I love this film, and I really want to talk about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Sure, you want to go first? What do you think?
Well, I just thought it was interesting that Pixar decided to talk about death. That's really fun. Sorry, just going in on there.
Yeah.
I mean, Pixar is really good at talking about the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they talked about in Up, she wasn't able to have children. They touched upon that topic and death. They touched upon, losing your not necessarily losing your loved ones, but like trying to find your place in the world with Toy Story. Inside Out was genuinely a groundbreaking film that therapists are, to my understanding, are still using today to help children process their emotions.
I can confirm.
Fucking leave it to Pixar to change the game again with Soul. A film that talks about death in so many ways and makes it okay.
I want to be very direct because I have some words that I need to eat. The first episode that we recorded for this new version of the podcast was about the movie Onward, which was at the start of the year. Mm-hmm. And I was very specific when I said, I love Pixar. I think they always do great stuff. I've become stale with them. I think Onward was like a movie that existed. And I thought, okay, you're the best studio, but this is not the best product that you're giving me. When I saw that movie, I said, this is okay. It shouldn't be just okay. It should be better. It should be the best. Like, you can't claim to be, by right to be the best if you're not giving us the best. And I don't know if they heard. I don't know what really was the driving force behind that decision, but man, the whole time that I was watching the start of the film, because the movie takes a while for the opening credits to start, and it's not until he falls to his death that we see, Disney Pixar present, and then we start to see the film. The second that I saw the animation for the whole Great Beyond and everything, I thought, ooh, they're getting experimental. Nice. And yeah, they shut me the hell up. This is exactly the kind of thing that I want to see. It's not only is it good, not only is it a fantastic film, but it takes all the Pixar values and all the Pixar ideas that we always see, and they push them forward. This movie feels like evolution. It feels like, a couple of years ago, we got into the Spider-Verse, and to me, that is the last movie that ever mattered in the past few years. Like, it was so good. But the thing that I mostly wanted to do, more than win Oscars or make $1 billion, I wanted it to be influential. And I feel like we're starting to see that, because the animation in this movie, more than just when it looks hyper realistic in the real human world, when they're in the soul world, God, everything about the animation was wonderful. The blacks, the lights, the Jerrys. We gotta talk about the Jerrys. I love the Jerrys.
Well, you said how trippy they looked. Like they were very.
Well, it was fun to see like the different abstracts. So you were seeing the different dimensions within the movie. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
By the animation alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this movie was a trip. And Pixar, I think, knocked it out of the park. This is exactly the thing I wanted to see from them. I wanted to see greatness, and I wanted to see evolution. And I think we totally got it from this one.
I was saying, Niki, I think the Jerry's and the Terry, for some reason, and maybe I'm overthinking this. Did you notice how they were just two-dimensional beings?
Yeah.
I feel like that was done on purpose. Like, we're three-dimensional figures. They're more constructs to and that's just digging on the surface. I'm pretty sure there's so much more.
Well, I like how it kind of touched the Matrix vibes.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of saying like, well, we're all technically not real or present. It's more like we're abstracts of thought or what we want to see, kind of thing.
It was like meta to like the 5th degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was just God, every step that they took. Let's talk about the Jerrys. I love the Jerrys. One of the Jerrys was voiced by Richard Aoud, he was Moss in the IT Crowd. He's one of my favorite actors, and he's a great director too. And his voice just really fits the Jerrys. He has a very squeaky voice, and it really fit there. I love it every time that they're on screen. They move like they could be anything. I like how they expanded on themselves, how they took the souls and they carried them. They just and also all the Jerrys had like these voices that were very comforting, and just every time that we're in the soul world, it never feels dangerous, even when they're in the part that's supposed to be dangerous. I like how first of all they tackle the subject head on. When Joe asked like, "Are we in heaven?" It's like, no. It's like and
the little kids are saying hell, hell.
Yeah, I like how it tackled that. Like every question that we had about where they are and what's happening was answered immediately. The movie's only like an hour and a half long, and I feel like no time is wasted. Like no scene feels like it's too long, and I feel like any question that we have is answered almost immediately, and the ones that we're gonna form later are answered also later. It plays with you in that way. It does a similar thing that Inside Out did, like at the end where we see the core memory being formed with two different emotions. I like how they also did a same thing here. Like, oh, it's not like the thing that drives you is your passion, your spark. It's not like the thing that you live for. It's just a thing that's there. I thought it carried off the message from Inside Out, but it expanded upon it. And I just, oh God, the setup and everything for this, I think it's really well done.
Well, I mean, I love that aspect of the whole, like, just because it's your passion does not mean like that's your only thing in life. And that was the message of Joe Gardner's life, because all it was jazz. But the thing is, all it was jazz, He never really appreciated, all the little things in the world, At 22 could show him, after his apparent, death, his soul gets separated from his body.
Yeah.
and this is jumping forward a bit, but we'll jump back real quick. Just the fact that 22 is in his body, she's able to appreciate all the things that he kind of takes for granted every day. Just the taste of pizza, the beauty in nature, just walking around, enjoying the little things in life, those little aspects. Yeah. We got that sense kind of early on that he wasn't really enjoying life. He was just living, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
just
it was kind of living. Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of dabbled. Sorry about that. Sorry for cutting you off. But I just wanted to touch base that also it was said throughout the whole show through the characters. Like we met Des, a funny barber who didn't actually have life as planned for him, but he chose this path. He was happy. In order to find the benefit for his kid, right? Yeah. And now he found purpose and meeting new friends every day through the chair. Yeah. And also Dorothy Williams, she says a little tidbit about a fish. Just to do a direct quote, it says, "I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to an older fish and says, 'I'm trying to find this thing called the ocean.' The ocean," the older fish says, "that's what you're here. You're here in it right now. This says that." And then this is water. What I want is the ocean. So it's kind of like saying about, I guess, the generation now, not really appreciating life. And it's about the instant gratification instead of actually taking the time to smell the roses, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of talking throughout the show about how life is precious.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how all these characters kind of have it. They don't have it together, but they have it like a little bit more than he does. And they're kind of open to helping him. Like there's like, if we see the film, the second time that I was watching it, I realized there's no real villain in the movie. Like there's no bad guy. There's no, I mean, Terry's not really a villain. He's just kind of doing his job. Yeah. He's just there. He just wants to, close everything that was reopened. His job is to count. And I like how they kept that going. It's really a race against time. It's just they're just trying to get this thing solved. I also like how it took all place in like a day and a half.
That's true. This film is pretty contained.
Yeah. There's just so much going on in there, and probably the most beautiful scene in the movie is the scene where he gets it. Like he comes back home after playing the gig, and he's playing the piano, and he sees the objects that were left in his pocket, and he plays, and he realizes what he says, and we see that those without dialogue, we see so much of him just understanding everything, just remembering what he said before, and seeing those scenes. And that scene where 22 is in his body and he's lying in the floor, and all the air is coming up, and he's just looking up, and it's just everything clicks so well with everything that's happening. And I feel like people who have never thought about what's happening, this movie does such a great job in explaining it, but never in a way where you don't feel spoon-fed, but you don't feel dumb while watching it. Like everything just, it makes you feel good that you understand it, but it's not really hard to understand. It finds a very nice sweet spot. That's what I'm trying to say.
And one character we haven't really touched upon very much is 22, and what a hell of an outlet she is. Going from like a comedic punchline to a really deep character that I think we all realize reflects, I don't want to say a mental illness, but like she's a very much a reflection of I want to say depression. I might be wrong with that.
It's a little bit of depression. I think also a little bit of it's kind of hard to move forward when you've never experienced. The whole point of her is that, well, her name is 22. That's obviously a reference to Catch 22, which is that novel where they talk about that reverse thing, where how do they explain it? It's that, how do they call it?
Oxymoron?
Yeah, kind of. Where the example that they use is, you can't get this job because you don't have the experience. Well, how am I going to have the experience if you don't give me this job? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a catch-22. So same thing with her as well. She doesn't know how to enjoy life because she's never lived it. And yeah, I like how they balance that going in. And Tina Fey is perfect for that. Like, her voice just shines through the entire film, and she manages to do that very well. So yeah, I love 22. I think she's a great character. My only nitpick of the film is that, you know how all the souls kind of look alike because they're souls, they don't really have form. If she was gonna be the soul that we're gonna follow, I kind of would have liked if she had a different design, just so she would pop off from the others. The whole thing is that there's like several 100 billion million souls, and they all kind of look the same. And then she's 22 because she's from the first batch, and she still hasn't made it. I don't know. I kind of would have liked if they had given her like a different design, just so it could be like easier to track it at the screen. And also, I don't know, they probably could have made a crap ton of dolls out of that.
Well, for me, I thought it was perfect. Like, it was kind of showing the similarities of the other souls, but at the same time, she was different by her like rosy cheeks, and then also the sarcastic eyes that she had. Yeah. So that was interesting. I don't know. I kind of liked the design of it. It was not going too far. Like, she is her own thing, but at the same time, she's everybody else. Like, she's a being, a soul.
Yeah. A nobody, as she calls herself.
A nobody.
Quite literally, a nobody. I love right when Joe meets her, and this is after he's gotten the gig, he needs to show up, but he dies, so he's trying to find a way to get home. And here he decides, I need to get one of their souls and steal the sticker so I can go back home and stuff.
Yeah.
After all that, they go into a bit of a montage. They think he's, Borgachev or something like that, right?
The most Swedish name they could think of. We just see all these souls that tried to help her that failed. Mother Teresa, I love everyone, but I hate you. And Muhammad Ali is like, you sting like a bee because you bug me so much. And all these incredible souls, all these incredible human beings talking about how crappy she is. And initially we take it as a punchline, like, oh, that's hilarious, that's funny. But near the film's climax, when we're kind of in 22's mind, a bit, and she's in the void, I guess, the negative area where she's in the zone, but the bad zone. We see those voices coming back and confronting her, and you hear the exact same lines in the most negative way. Because imagine history's greatest human beings, the greatest saints, athletes, geniuses, all these people telling you suck. Yeah.
That's gonna wear on you.
Yeah.
That's something else. And it's very illuminating, I guess, at least for me. It was what was a punchline in one scene was very much not only a put down, but also a very hard strike to the soul, no pun intended, in a different context. It's funny until it's not.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to the relatability and the seriousness of the film when it comes to mental illness or depression and whatnot, dealing with these situations. She very much had a front from the very beginning. She always had a front up until you get through the hard outer exterior, and you are good enough. And I thought this film did an amazing job at that, at displaying not just the signs, but also how to confront it. I guess how to cope with that.
I agree. Yeah. God, there's so much here. There was when the movie was first announced and we saw the first trailer, all we saw was like the opening scene where he gets the gig, he's really excited, he falls and he dies. He just becomes a soul. He just meets 22, and that was all we saw about the trailer. We saw nothing. So much like what they did with a couple other Pixar films where they just hide like a whole 2/3 of the plot. This includes everything regarding them switching bodies, or she being in his body, he being in the cat body. I thought that was excellent. I think it really helped in the humor. They allowed the characters to exist and coexist with each other. It kind of reminded me of an Inside Out when the girl can only exist with 3 emotions, which is anger, disgust, and fear, and she cannot feel neither joy nor sadness. I like how we got to experience and see Joe with 22 Soul, just working it out, and also Cat. I'm a big Cat fan, so just all the humor regarding the cat was excellent in my opinion. Mr. Middens, can't wait for a whole new generation of kids to name their cats like that. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, there was just so much there, but also like the side characters were great. Like Joe's family was funny. The band was pretty entertaining and pretty like menacing. Like I like how they always kept them in the dark space, because it always kept them shining. There, like they were very interesting. The barbershop scene I think is also excellent. It's just like I said, the movie just wastes no time. It's always going with something really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that barbershop scene, actually. The part where he's talking to Dez about his life and whatnot, and 22's asking the hard questions, and even says, the right thing, I guess the right and the wrong thing. Oh, I'm sorry your life is so unhappy that you didn't get to fulfill your purpose. Yeah. And, and Dez comes back and is like, no, like, whoa, slow down there, man. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm happy with how my life's turned out. Like, just because I didn't become a vet does not mean I'm miserable. Like, it just, my life turned out different. That's not always a bad thing. And very much this Pixar, to me at least, speaking to its core audience of, we've grown up on Pixar, all of us. We were there for Toy Story, there for Toy Story 2, 3, 4, dealing with, going to college, Dory dealing with her family. Pixar's really good at that, at growing up with its audience. And I feel like that was a moment of speaking to its audience and being like, look, just because life doesn't turn out the way you expected does not make it bad. Maybe a little on the nose, but that's what I think.
Well, it was also interesting when 22 in Joe left the barbershop or was about to leave. And Dez was really happy that Joe was actually talking to him for once.
Yeah.
Like about his life. And that's how he created a relationship. So Joe, who's the cat right now, understands that in a way that he's been consumed by his own purpose, fulfilling his own purpose, that he didn't look with what was around him. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of fun, like you're seeing the light, like oh hello, like the little light bulb come out. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it's just there's so much going on. Let me take a moment to talk about the animation, because wow, like this is the best looking, like realistic animation that Pixar has ever done. Like the city looks amazing, the apartments look amazing, the barbershop, like every time they go into a place or they would zoom in into a place. When the movie started and we're in that classroom, like I remember seeing like all the desks and the boards and everything, and everything just almost photorealistic. Like even Joe, who looks very much like a cartoon character, and everyone does, there's still something that looks very like uncanny valley, very realistic about them. You pair that up with the animation in the Soul world, which is very dark, but very angular also, and you combine that with the Jerrys, who are 2D, and God, this is a treat for the eyes. Like it's just like the animation in this is both manages to capture both sides of like very creative looking, because it's like the argument that people use with video games, like, oh, okay, it looks realistic, so what? Like that, we can see a movie that looks realistic, like we want to see something creative. This movie manages to do both. When we're in the human world, everything looks almost photorealistic. This New York looks amazing, looks alive.
Yeah, it was kind of tricking the mind of whether it was real or cartoon. You were always like, wait, it's a cartoon or it's animated. It was so interesting.
Very uncanny valley, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when we're in the Soul world, like all the lights and the squares and everything just look very creative. Love it. I hope Pete Docter never stops making movies. I'm loving this right now.
Well, to steal a quote from you, it got experimental, and I love that. I loved how the transition from him, when he was dying and he had going to, towards the great beyond and whatnot. Yeah. They got experimental, very experimental, in a lot of ways. And I think, if anything, that's where Pixar shines. They're at their best when they experiment. When it came to Bug's Life, they experimented with, having more figures on the screen or whatnot. When it came to, Dory, they realistic water. The Incredibles, there's a scene. There was a popular meme, you'll probably remember it, where it's a screenshot from the trailer, and on top it says, "Why did it take 12 years to make The Incredibles 2?" And you see how realistic it is to a point where you can see the little fuzzies on Mr. Incredible's shirt in like high def. It's like, oh, that's why. Because this the pre-production started in 2006. 4 years. 4 years though for a Pixar movie is kind of fast. Typically, Pixar takes like 5 or more. Like they don't rush for anybody. Even the fucking mouse can wait.
Oh, you mean 2016?
Yeah, they started in 2016.
Oh, okay.
When they started this movie, so it's again they didn't rush it. They took their time and they said, "Look, this is a concept. We need to fully explore it, and we need to approach it in every realistic way." But Pixar, I think this is the first time in a while I feel like the ending was somewhat predictable, but I didn't mind it.
This is the first Pixar film in a couple of years that did not make me cry, but that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not a loss, because I still very much enjoyed it. I have a question for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we were taken okay? Let me rephrase it. Cut this out. How do I say this? Would it have been better if we had seen this in the theater instead of at home? Like, do you think the experience would have been better if we had been able to see it in theaters, or do you think it was like fine as a streaming? Because this was going to be in theaters, but COVID.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I enjoyed it here at home because it was kind of like we got to discuss it. In the movie theaters, you can't really talk or stuff like that. So it was kind of like, wow, look at that animation, or wow, look, do you think this touches a little bit on death? Oh, they are going full on death. A big thing was I didn't know what this movie was about. Like, I didn't watch trailers. I just saw like glimpses of it. I saw a cat and I saw Joe. That was it. And then so going into the movie, it was kind of like going blind. So for me, I guess that helped it being at home also, because it was like brand new.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I think the best part about watching it at home was just the fact that I could pause it. Because we had a lot to discuss. Like, we were discussing the ideas as the film was going. We would stop and talk about it for a little bit. Like, holy crap, they're actually talking about heaven and hell. Like, they're actually going all the way there. And it's like, oh, this is the U seminar, the pre-existence and then the post-existence and, all these other stuff. We were stopping it like every 10 minutes or so just to discuss like what they were doing at that point. So no, I don't think we lost anything by watching it at home. If anything, the fact that it's more accessible to a wider audience, because I think a lot of people, in particular, I think older men would love to watch this movie that they wouldn't go to the theaters, but because they have to watch it, in quotation marks, have to watch it with their families at home, they're exposed to a great film that's technically for kids, but I'd argue speaks more to adults. And I think because they were able to watch it at home, they were exposed to a great piece of art, that this film is.
Well, I think a big thing with adults, though, yes, it does talk to a lot of adults, but I think a great deal it talks with kids, because we forget that kids go through death as well. Yeah. They see it, they experience it. It's just a little taboo to talk about. And that's where I think that Soul kind of took it another level. It's like, no, we're going to discuss it. And like now it's touching kids' lives as well as adults. And it's kind of helping the balance, like, see, like, we're not all so different. We're all going through the same thing and seeing the nuances of life.
If anything, I think kids will benefit from seeing an adult not struggle, but see them going through a lot of feelings and being vulnerable, because I think kids usually see adults as very stoic and very they have everything figured out, they know everything that's going on. And the fact that they managed to put an adult man who I think is in his 30s, not struggling, but but not yet fulfilled, like still chasing that dream, I think it's gonna lay a lot of kids into a lot of calm, because it's gonna be like, okay, good, I don't have to have everything figured out by the time I'm 17. Okay, good. Because they're not, and most adults don't. I don't want to say they don't know what they're doing, but they are still, looking for that thing that drives them.
We're still figuring it out.
Yeah, they're still figuring it out, and there's a lot of pressure for younger audiences. I think you two touched into a subject that I really wanted to tackle, which was, yes, the generational breach of this film. I think, don't quote me on this, I think this might be the first Pixar film that is more for adults than it is for kids. I'll be honest, if I had watched it as a kid, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I like it now. I think there's more for adults than for kids in this one. I think kids can get a lot of it too, like I just mentioned. But I think just perhaps there is more for adults here than for kids. Like I said, seeing the adults struggle, seeing how it's never too late to like find joy in what makes you, in just living, in just regular old living, like he told 22. That scene where he's talking with 22, and they see all his life, and they see him in all his failed auditions, and him in the subway, and him eating that pie in the subway. I cannot erase that scene from my head where he's eating the pie at the diner, and he looks so sad in his memory. But then when he's having that whole recollection of him at the beach, or him at the subway, or him eating that pie, and he's just you realize that you see him in that moment, and you're like, I know exactly what that moment is like. I've been in that subway. I've been in that diner. I've been at that beach, in that moment where you're just kind of living and just vibing in that moment, and you're happy there, and you kind of forget that those moments exist in your entire life. And I don't know. I think without dialogue, without sound, just with that score, which I'll talk about the score in a second, but I love how they were able to capture that. And I don't know if kids, I'm not saying kids don't get it, but I'm saying this, I think, was more oriented towards adults. Is what I'm getting from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I guess they're trying to reach adults now too, because with Incredibles 2, it was kind of like, all the adults went to go see it.
Yeah.
That was the demographic they were trying to, that they weren't necessarily trying to hit, but it ended up being that way. So maybe they were trying to steer that direction, going towards the adults.
I mean, they got us, so we're there.
But for kids or adults, but adults too, it's like, we experience that struggle. Like, we've all been through that, where it's kind of like we're stuck in one place trying to work through it. Like, they show that accountant, or who was he?
The hedge fund manager that I felt so sorry for. I was like, oh fuck, I understand.
And we've all been there, where it's like, it's just the mundane, going through routine, have to get it right. And then you're like, wait,
what am I doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you need that epiphany.
Yeah.
That soul telling you, like, you don't need it, or like maybe
that
you do,
guy.
and that's okay.
I was watching that scene, and I'm like, that's gonna be me in like 2 weeks. Like, I can just, I can see it coming. And like I saw this one with my family, and just in that scene, my mom just turned to me and be like, "That's you." Like, that's
oh god.
And like, if we were in a pandemic, that would have been me already. Like, just explode. Like, what am I doing?
Fuck this place. God.
Well, we all had also jobs, right? Like little jobs here and there. Like, I know I worked at like Subway and Wingstop, and it was always to the point where I was like, you know what? And I would try my best. I would be full-time, all that. But they would ask so much that it was like, wait, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. I'm like driving myself crazy trying to be perfect. And then it's like, you don't need that. I know you need a job, but you don't need to be like obsessing over it,
You were like, fuck this, I'm going to Jimmy John's. They got better cookies.
Hey.
Oh, no.
No, that's a lie. Subway has better cookies.
Yes, they do.
No, fuck Jimmy John's. Their owner goes and hunts for animals. Fuck that guy.
Oh, okay. Funny enough, my Subway manager got a job at Jimmy John's.
Does she still work at Jimmy John's?
Yeah, no, they closed down.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck Jimmy John's.
Not gonna lie, Jimmy John's, pretty good sandwiches. Pretty
what?
good meat.
Their sandwiches were trash.
I like their sandwiches. It's just they just put the right amount of meat, the right amount of mayo, and just I don't know, the bread was always nice and cold. It was. I don't know. I don't know.
No.
It's not better
it was
than
too
Subway.
much bread.
It's
dude.
not better than Subway, but I like bread. That's the problem.
I love Quiznos, but they're not around anymore.
Yeah, but they don't toast their subs. So
yes, they do.
No, wait, they do. No, wait, they do.
No, they did. Past tense. They're closed now.
I miss Quiznos. Bring it back. I'm sorry we got on sandwiches. That was my fault. Let's go back to the movie.
They're good sandwiches. So let's talk about the real subject. Why do you like creamy peanut butter? That's the real travesty of the situation.
The old feud that won't die. You still have the jar?
No, I ate it.
Oh, okay, good.
That was like 3 years ago, man. What are you?
And creamy is better because of the consistency of the sandwich. You don't want to be like biting your tongue or biting a random object. It could be a bug. You don't know.
If I die, I die. If that's how I go, that's how I go.
That's the chance I'm willing to take.
That's the chance I'm willing to take. It. That's the chance that Joe was willing to take when he was in this movie.
Down the subway.
Yeah, that's how he.
Actually, no, he wasn't willing to take. He came back.
Yeah.
Well, no. Wait. He got trapped by Terry when 22 was in his body. Remember Terry?
Yeah.
Terry, that poor kid. Real quick, I couldn't stop laughing. When he traps that poor guy that I think Joe was like, oh, he's just insults me to cover up his own insecurities because he doesn't feel fulfilled with his life. I was like, you could deep, Joe. He starts walking off, and Terry traps him in the great beyond. He's like, oh, sorry about that. You okay, right? And the guy's just freaking out, like, I want to go home. That I couldn't stop laughing. That fucking broke me. That's the scene that broke me in this movie. I was almost crying.
Yeah. Oh God.
And I respect Terry. I'm sorry, but he did his job very well.
He enjoyed his job.
He enjoyed his job.
Yeah.
He was I'm gonna count.
It never felt personal, He was just doing his thing,
Mm-hmm.
I like how they have that scene at the end where after he gets Joe and everyone's like, okay, Terry, so we gathered all here today to give you this trophy that you requested we give you.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
And then they take it away from him.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna take this back."
Yoink.
That's why I like the Jerrys, because they always feel like they're never mad. They're never upset. They don't even dislike Terry. They're just there.
Mm-hmm.
And
they fuck with him once.
Yeah, at the end.
We worked it out with Terry. What's that over there? Yoink.
Well, I want to know. Like, I didn't really catch it. Maybe I was looking at my phone at the moment. I'm not sure. But how did they mix up Joe? Like the count. They got him mixed up with a person. So how did that mix up? Was that person actually dead? Or they just like switched the souls? Or how did that work out?
I think the whole thing with the cat was no, wait, that was after, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean
with the
because his soul was missing from going to the great beyond, because he jumped into that thing and he fell, and then he fell into like that's why they confused him for the people in the seminar
because he refused to go.
But what was that? Where was that guy?
Joe Borganoff. He took his name tag.
Yeah.
Done.
But where was that guy?
Oh yeah.
Like they just left him out altogether. It was kind of like, okay, well, is he still alive, or is he in the great beyond? And they just missed the count.
We just
didn't touch on that,
because then they would miss two characters, because it was like Joe running off and then Borganoff.
Maybe he just didn't want to do it. Maybe Borganoff was like, you know what? I've done enough. I've saved enough of you people. Goodbye.
Well, I was like, okay, he's missing. Where is he? Nobody cared.
Okay, so this movie is no longer a 10 out of 10. Now it's a 9.8 out of 10 because we found a plot hole.
Look, man, in a movie about souls, the great beyond, the youth seminar, and all this other stuff, I will fucking accept like one or two plot holes. The fact that this movie has less plot holes than Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Not saying much. The fact that this movie has less plot holes than.
Oh wow! You dissed the mouse while praising the mouse. You did
Technically,
something.
I'm praising
there,
Pixar. Fuck Disney. I'm praising Pixar.
Oh, and if y'all didn't know, he doesn't like big corporations. Eddie here.
Oh yeah.
So he'll diss Disney and Amazon and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but yet
Well, I don't like corporations with no soul.
Yeah,
Amazon.
Yeah, he orders and watches from.
Yeah.
Hey, you ordered all the Christmas gifts from Amazon this year. I wanted to go to the stores.
I'm for Amazon. I love it.
What was that quote from The Good Place? What are they? How do we refer to all of them? To consumerism, to capitalism? There's no in capitalism. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. There it is.
That's there we go. Okay.
Yeah. There's no ethical consumption. So it's like, yeah, I don't like Jeff Bezos. I don't like billionaires.
You all keep discussing.
I like their corporations, but I like Disney movies. So they got me. Hey, the second there's like an indie movie streaming service, sure, I'll go to them, but they have to be funded first. So what else do we have to say about Soul? What else did you like? What's in your notes? I want to know what's in your notes.
I have a lot in my notes, but okay. I was thinking about this when we were talking, but I thought it was interesting that it talks about the different people. So it's like it was talking about realists and dreamers, and it was talking about like an in-between.
The what ifs.
It was also talking about coma patients, to where they're like in between the balance of like life and death. And it's kind of like that whole thing where it is unheard of, it's not explained to why coma patients come back or why they just suddenly degress. So it's kind of interesting that they kind of played on that. It's like Joe had to go through this whole thing within another dimension to come back, and he still ends up as a cat. It was like, wow, he still couldn't come back directly, He
had to learn. He had a lesson to learn. He couldn't just very easily come back, because he would have returned to the same life that he had.
Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's not until he fully returns, so he does the thing that he wants, so he realizes, this made me so happy, and this is what I've wanted to do for so long, but it's not. It didn't fill me up, and that's where expectations end up failing him. I want to talk a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What about Moonwind?
That's where I was going.
The guru. I liked him.
I love him. He was. I want to talk specifically about the zone, like when they're in the zone, and how he's always in the zone because he's this guy that he has the sign. That he's just doing the flips with the sign. Oh God, I love how they explain that, and the movie does such a good job in like doing those really fast cuts, where with the jokes and with the humor. And when Moonwind comes up in that 60s ship, and he's got the music and he's just vibing and he just knows what everything is happening. Oh God, it was really funny. I like the voice too. He's voiced by Graham Norton, the one with the talk show, with the British one with the three. He's got like 3 or 4 guests at the same time. He was really good in that.
I thought it was gonna be John Lennon. I thought it was gonna be one of the Beatles. Legit, I thought, this is kind of cool because they do name drop some famous people in this film. And historical people. So I thought, Lennon, okay.
I think Lennon is dead, man.
No, that's what I mean, though. Like, I didn't know he was going to be a living person. I thought he was just like one of the souls that got away, that they were like, fuck it, he can exist.
Yeah. Because
even in the afterlife, if you're famous enough, they'll let you continue.
The Moonwind is the guru that would find the souls. I thought that was interesting. Like, he was able to go into different dimensions, and he was conscious of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like other people would think he's crazy, right? And I guess like you have that too, talking more about people, it's like, oh, that guy's crazy. What's he talking about? But maybe he really has something.
Maybe he gets it. Yeah,
he gets it.
He knows something we don't.
So how many of those crazy guys on the street corners are actually prophets? Because if so, we're fucked.
I mean, how many people did we saw with signs that said the end is near, and look at us now, just locked inside.
Oh God,
it's kind of true.
Oh God. Yeah.
This film, what kind of acid do you think he was tripping on when he came up with the concept? I just want to know what kind it was.
I think Pete Docter is just a very creative person. I remember him talk when he did Inside Out. He was talking about how he based it a lot on his daughter and on his family. I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that he probably had a very Joe experience where he probably was doing the same thing every day. He just didn't feel like he was, he got his due. I think it's more personal than we think. I saw that, it's funny you mentioned that it took them 4 years to make this film. I saw that him and the other co-writer for the script, I saw that it took them more than a year to create Joe. Not just in design, but on what he was going to do and what he was going to represent. I heard that it took them a long time, and the only thing that they had is, he has to be a jazz musician. That was that was their only thing to start, and they just created everything after that. So they were like, well, he's a jazz musician, so he obviously has to be black. We don't want another La La Land controversy here, and they just kept working on top of that until they finally they crafted Joe out of that. Mm-hmm. Are you guys curious to see what comes of 22 by the end, or are you satisfied that it's just she lives and we just don't know what's happening?
Well, we kind of discussed that at the end too. It's we want to know what happened to 22.
Yeah.
And I had my theory she's a new soul, right? So she'll have to be a baby, right? A newborn, going into the life. And then what did you think?
Part of me, so there were two things. One was most of the other souls, she's by far the oldest soul, bar none. It's not a debate, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking...
But she's not going to be born with that knowledge,
She's not.
Well, no, see, I was thinking, what if she's just smarter than most other people? What if she's just, she has more experience in the U seminar. So what if she's just a brighter person, smarter person? Part of me wanted her to run into Joe, but they didn't know. He knew, you're 22. He was older. I wanted the movie, the last scene of the movie to be 22 years in the future or something like that. Yeah. Where he's still a jazz musician. He's a teacher, and he runs into some kid who talks a lot, who is obsessed with fire or something.
And likes pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but who doesn't like pizza?
And he's just yeah. When were you born? She's like, May 22nd or something like that. Something like that.
A lot on the 22.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It would have been somebody tried. There's you know how every time a Pixar movie comes out, they're like, how are we gonna fit this into the Pixar what's called the theory where they say that everything's connected.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, what if she's born, she becomes a kid, a baby, and then she's Boo from Monsters Inc. And I feel like that's too much, but I don't think it's too far.
A little far-fetched.
I feel like that's cheapy. I feel like a better thing is actually what happened was those souls in Woody and in Buzz, all the toys have souls that also come from there when they miss.
You just want to connect this to Toy Story, don't you?
Again, loves Toy Story.
Hey, maybe that's how the cars are alive. Maybe that's how the bugs are able to speak to each other. Maybe.
The less I think about, you know what? This is the first Pixar film that officially has no involvement from Lasseter. So the less I think about him, and the less I think about cars, the happier I am. So this is.
Look, man, I know Lasseter. I can't excuse it. God damn.
No, you can't.
I can't.
No, you can't. I'm not even gonna dare.
He's a bastard. He's a bastard. I can't.
I guess for some newbies like me, I don't know what you all are talking about.
Oh, okay.
Can you explain a little bit?
Sure. So John Lasseter was the head of Pixar. He was a pretty well-known person. He wore these Hawaiian shirts, and he directed the first Toy Story. He directed the first Cars. He's always been an ever-present presence in Pixar. He's a pretty well-beloved person by the community. He done fucked up.
No, and just so you understand what a big deal it was, he basically carried Pixar on his back for the first 4 movies.
Yeah.
He did Toy Story, Bugs Life, Toy Story 2. Like, the man was a machine.
Cars.
I would, and Cars.
You're hate Cars.
Like, I would legit say, if no Lasseter, no Pixar. Like, I don't think that's a stretch.
So you like Lasseter, and
I liked Lasseter.
Eddie likes Lasseter, and Chema doesn't. Because of Cars.
No.
Okay, how come?
He
got me too'd.
He got me too'd. Yeah, that's what I say.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he had a fucking fall from grace. And I can't. Like, I hate the fact that he's so intertwined with my childhood, but.
Well, for me, I wasn't really a big Pixar fan until The Incredibles.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I missed the whole Lasseter boat thing. Eddie can tell you that Toy Story, not really my thing. Sorry.
It's all good.
It's just not. It creeped me out as a kid. I was like, why are toys alive? It would freak me out. Okay.
Oh, so that's why you like Incredibles, because it's like, okay, these are people.
Yes. Just
Is
fire
that a Christmas
babies.
ornament?
Yes, that's my Woody Christmas ornament.
That's it.
That's cute.
That's how much I love Toy Story, and fucking Lasseter just ruined it.
And I accept you. That's okay. Like the crunchy and creamy, it's fine with the peanut butter. It's fine.
God damn it.
No, it's just that So Lasseter, not only he directed those films, he was also like the head of story. Like every Pixar film went through his desk, and he added his notes, and he was ever present. So. This is the first film that there's no mention of him in the credits. He's not producing. He already left Pixar, and this is the first one without his involvement. And what a breath of fresh air, man! It
was nice.
It was so good, and I don't know if it was a sign of the times. I don't know if it was just definitely different direction. I love Pete Docter. I like this director. I hope he stays. I hope he keeps making films. When we talked about Inside Out, when we did the review. We talk about how this is the first Pixar film that I said I wouldn't mind a sequel, because I kind of got tired of all the Pixar sequels. And this is the one where I'm like, I want to see her grow up. I want to see her go through puberty. I want to see her, maybe start dating. I want to see her go through
same thing.
Yeah.
What if she's Riley?
There's an idea.
I'm looking back at their history.
Yeah.
And I think this might be their second best original film since probably Up.
You dissing Coco right now?
No, that's why I said it might. The only thing that I can think of that's better than this is Coco. Like, I liked Inside Out, but I know you loved Inside Out. I liked Onward, but
I loved Inside Out too, and also Coco. Coco was amazing.
No, that
also touched death.
Coco might be the best one of them all.
Coco, it touched death as well. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's where they kind of came up with this one, Soul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think
the basis.
I think after Up and Coco, they started to go like, okay, let us do like baby steps, a little bit more, and then this one is like, okay, we're in, let's just go all the way with it. I'm not gonna lie, this might be my favorite Pixar film since Inside Out, and I've loved the films that have come out. I've learned to appreciate Onward a little bit more after it came out. The less I take it seriously, the more I like it. But this is my jam. Like, this is the kind of things that I want to see the best animation studio in the world do. Like, I want to see them evolve. I want to see them do great things, and this is the great things that I wanted to see them do. So. I love this movie.
I also thought I love it too. You have a good point. Like it like revamped what everybody else was talking about, like with Inside Out and stuff like that. But a cool thing also is that, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this one, they made the protagonist also the antagonist.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I was thinking like, well, who's really the bad guy? And you thought like Terry kind of had something going on, but no, he's just doing his job. His mom, but she just wanted security for him, and it was kind of like, well, Joe was his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of the movie, right?
Yeah. Listen to that, Christopher Nolan. That's what you got wrong in Tenet.
Can you imagine if Christopher Nolan directed a Pixar film? I want to fucking see that. I want to live in a universe where that happens.
I want to punch Christopher Nolan in the face right now. I'm upset at him.
Why? For Tenet?
Not for Tenet. Just he's been an asshole the whole year. Like it's just. Yeah.
You're not incorrect. I can't defend it, man. What the fuck is wrong with the directors that I love being assholes? Why?
You know what they say, don't meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes.
No.
Yeah.
I know I never want to meet Undertaker or Shawn Michaels, all right? I know. I hope Tom Hanks is nice. I want to meet Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks seems nice.
Oh.
Watch, I'm the one person he treats like shit the one time.
No, Tom Hanks is a treasure.
Tom Hanks cameoed in the new Borat film. Like that's all you got to know about him.
Oh my goodness.
I'm scared. I don't want to see it now.
Oh no, he like I don't know if y'all saw the new Borat film? No?
No.
Okay, so I'll explain the joke. So halfway through them making that film, coronavirus started. So they had to implement that into the story.
Oh my goodness.
And the whole joke is that Borat is the one that had the virus and he brought it to the United States and So they make this joke about him traveling through several continents and he's in Australia and he stops by Australia and he bumps into Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks had coronavirus when he was in Australia. So they record a scene where he meets him. It's like, oh, Tom Hanks, nice to meet you. Here, let me take a selfie. And that's the joke that he gave him coronavirus.
He gave Tom Hanks.
Motherfucker.
He almost killed Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Goodness.
I remember I texted you when we found out he had the virus. I was just like, I swear to God, 2020, don't you fuck around right now.
Oh, I also liked in This Is Us. They also talked about also talked about Tom Hanks too. I know This Is Us. We're name dropping a lot, but since we're going that direction. In This Is Us, Randall sees on his phone because they're also talking about coronavirus and they're kind of going back to when it first started. And it's like, oh, he's reading for the first time that Tom Hanks has COVID.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh man, I got to talk to Kate. This has to be a phone call. And, it's because it touches everybody, Yeah. Tom Hanks is a national treasure.
He really fucking is.
Yeah.
Right. So,
okay.
Final thoughts on Soul, ladies and gentlemen?
Final thoughts on Soul. I think Soul was wonderful. It revitalized Pixar. It made them, it breathed new air into animation. I think, the story was so original. The way it was told was so original. I think Pete Docter is an auteur. I think he's one of the best working directors right now. I think Pixar is back on top of my graces in here. I have no complaints about this film. And at the end of a year that felt so hard and so difficult, it was so nice to watch something that just made me feel so good again. It felt like that same feeling that you get when you're walking out. We've felt this before where we're walking outside of a theater and we're going like, that was so good. Like, I'm glad I took time out of my day to do this. It just felt good. This is exactly how it felt. I sucked that I had to wait till the end of the year for this, but it's just, man, what a note to end the year on. What a half note to end the year on. I love it. I think it's a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
You guys?
Sure.
I also thought it was an incredible movie. You couldn't go wrong with it. Well, there was easy chance to go wrong with it, but watching it, it was like it touched everybody. Mm-hmm. From just with the pizza or him playing the piano, like you felt the experiences at the same time because it was like hitting nostalgia back and forth. Because it was like even the maple leaf, when you first smell it or you grab it from the air, it's like magic, like bubbles, when kids play.
Yeah.
It was kind of playing into your kid factor. And also I like that it didn't directly touch it onto any religion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. Like it was kind of playing in all walks of it where it was like life and death. But it wasn't saying like, oh, Christianity, or it wasn't talking about, different things like that.
Mm-hmm. It walked the eggshells very well.
Very well. And so it was actually a pleasure to watch because you're watching an adult go through things. And also it's showing the nostalgia like you were kids. It was hitting kids. It was hitting adults. Mm-hmm. Just very dynamic. That's probably a better word.
Eddie?
A film I didn't think I was gonna like this much. Genuinely, I went into it like, okay, I guess. Like, I guess I went into it thinking this is gonna be a chore, but I was immediately surprised right from the get go because I didn't know it had anything to do with jazz. Like, I didn't realize how much it had to do with it. I love the soundtrack, which is a big deal to me. The animation was beautiful. The concept was great. The writing was amazing. The story was good. Like, for me, story comes first. More than anything else, it's story. And then if you can nail that, you can do something good. To quote George Clooney, you can make a bad movie from a good script, but you can never make a good movie from a bad script. And this script was very good. Two French kisses. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Is it my favorite Pixar film ever? It's not, but that's a pretty unfair question. Yeah. Their best original film since The Incredibles, with the exception of Coco.
One last thing. The movie benefits from multiple watches. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when I was rewatching it the second time, when the movie starts and you see Joe, teaching the class and the students suck, there's the one student that's really good, the one that later goes to his apartment.
We didn't talk about Connie. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she stands up and she keeps playing. And after watching it the second time, I'm like, oh, she's in the zone. Mm-hmm. Like there, right at the start, like, oh, she's literally in that zone, like right at the start. Mm-hmm. So things like that, I think work best when you're watching it again. So I think the movie will benefit from multiple watches. I think it's a movie that people will rewatch several times, and hopefully it's not one of those movies that comes out, we love it, we talk about it, and we forget it exists a couple months. I hope it stays. I really hope people rewatch it. I'll go out of my limb to say that it might be. This hasn't happened in a while, but only three animated films have been nominated for Best Picture. Mm-hmm. We still don't know if there's going to be an Oscars this year, but I don't think it would be too far to say maybe. Mm-hmm. This will definitely win Best Animated Feature, but is it too long to say possibly Best Picture material? Because I get really excited when an animated film gets nominated for anything. So,
well, it's only been it was Toy Story 3, Beauty and the Beast, right? And what was the other one?
Up.
Really? Up was nominated. Yeah. Wow, and that's when it was harder.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think it's too far. It's too far. Hopefully we see. I mean, we don't even know if there's going to be an Oscars, but
there will be. Let's fucking face it. If there's an NFL season, there's going to be an Oscars.
Oh, speaking of sports, real quick, poor Knicks. That little burn.
Oh my God, that's right.
We didn't
I've been fucking with this team for years,
and I was like, oh,
and the Knicks lose again.
The Knicks joke was amazing.
God, I lost my shit so many times. This movie is so underratedly funny.
I bet those parents like watching that movie was like, huh.
I hope the owner of the Knicks watched this movie. I know for a fact he has a daughter because your brother went to school with her apparently.
I know name dropping.
I know.
No, but I hope his daughter showed him this movie.
Don't give away the location, like, Eddie. Yeah. I like how they also managed to like keep that going with like the New York theme. Like it's the Knicks, so it's the theme from New York. So it's it fit. Like it was good.
It felt like a New York City movie.
It was funny.
Yeah. The Carl Jung joke also killed me. One of my like probably the scene that I laughed the most was when he gets into the body of the cat and they go like, wait, so I'm here, you're here. What happened to the cat? And they just show like the soul of the cat just slowly moving.
Oh, that was another thing. What soul was in the cat after Joe got his body back?
Cats have 9 lives.
Yeah, That's the thing. Yeah. I had the same question, and I was talking with another friend of mine recently, and I told her, like, what happened to the cat? And she's like, cats have 9 lives. That's why he came back.
No, get out of here. Because when Terry got Joe to go back into the dimension, he couldn't go back. And that's because he was the cat. He should have went back then. It should have been easy.
I just want that shot of the soul cat just like slowly being dragged.
and then come back.
And then it cuts off in like 2 seconds, just like, that was so funny.
That was nice to see too. That like cats and dogs, I guess pets can go to heaven.
No,
or the Great Beyond.
The Great
Sorry,
Beyond.
we're not going. Yes.
I love how they were so like on point politically with like what they were calling everything. Is this HE double hockey sticks? No, it's the U seminar.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're
Great
rebranding.
before.
It's
We were
rebranding. Yeah. In the customer service department, we call that positioning of information.
Oh,
Give
yes.
correct expectations. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Love it. Go watch if you haven't seen. I mean, if you've seen it, if you've heard the review so far, you've obviously already watched it, or you don't care about spoilers. Please watch this movie. It's probably going to be the movie that we're not going to be able to track box office or anything. So do go watch it. It's fantastic. It's definitely a worthwhile 90 minutes of your life that you're gonna just be left inspired.
Agreed.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, you can follow us on any of our links down below.
If you're listening to us via podcast, please like and subscribe to us. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. We also get it wrong. We also get it wrong every single time.
What do you mean I get it right every time.
We get it wrong every single time. Show her the receipts. Show her the drafts.
Don't lie to her.
I need it written down.
You're doing blue card, you can.
All
right. Please like and okay. Cut. Please like and subscribe via podcast. We would really appreciate it.
She sounds like she's got a gun like in her back, like say it. Say it.
That's how I feel.
I'll cut the words. Don't worry.
Wow.
I'll make it make sense. I'm a wizard.
I'm gonna listen to this.
Damn right.
She's gonna be in the car like motherfucker.
Son of a bitch.
He took out my subscribe.
If you want to hear more about our thoughts on movies, go to therollback.net. I've been Eddie.
I'm Niki.
And I was Chema. And this was The Rollback.
The Rollback. Yes.
Okay.
Perfectly every time.
Yay.
Oh, cool.